I just want to say that Jeff and Adam and myself appreciate what it's done, especially this year, on the ARPA retention bonus and the longevity one. So everybody always wants a raise, but you know, you have 3 employees that aren't going anywhere.
Appreciate your work. I mean, you guys do, all the departments from what I've seen do a lot with a little, truly. And you do. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Move to the adoption of motion 23-160 to return from executive session to the scheduled meeting. Time is
5:42.
need a second
Second?
discussion. Roll call.
Trustee McGurran.
Yes?
Trustee Blower.
Yes. Our chief is at 6 o'clock.
Yeah, but I could go ahead and text him.
Yeah.
Do you know what?
Here, that'd be great. I'm running lights for a show. I don't have a single cue, which means it's gonna be Pam. And they want, I told them, I will not be able to be here tonight and tomorrow until 7:30. So what did they say? We're starting at 7. I'm like, well, I told my friend, I'm like, you can go turn the lights on the stage and at least they'll have light. This is the most.
I don't care.
Dave?
Yeah.
Do I have to go through all the stuff again?
Don't think you will.
Not tomorrow night, yes.
Yes.
Oh, he's pulling in, he says.
We're not on the record, are we?
Yes. Well, okay.
Okay, so I'll stop.
With all constant votes, private matter is
Is that Paul?
Yes.
Say,
I'm just trying to pick up the whole damn hallway back.
I will next time you come by.
hello?
You just call him.
You just said here.
Well, Steve's here.
Yeah.
That's special.
Good.
Good.
Yeah,
Thank
calls.
you.
thank you.
Thought it was.
Any good news?
Six.
What's going on?
I got my glasses, so I got a backup here, so I don't know how good I'm gonna do. Lauren, do me a favor. Cut these guys 50%, we'll take 30, call it even.
It sounds
Fair
like.
enough?
All right.
Put yourself in for 32.
Start with my.
20% for us to split. 5, 5, 5.
I'm going to prison. It's been $9,000.
That's why I said, if you see Bank with Rob, local locksmith is missing, it will have been for a lot.
Love.
How are you?
Okay. Yeah.
Do you have copies of
I have this one.
that? Let me,
that you
it's
printed out.
John's packet, but so don't write in it,
Okay.
but you have it to look at tonight.
I'm interrupting, I'll be out here in a second. Sorry. I put this in the cheap spot.
What locker are they cutting?
Oh, it's one of the locker Seth. Got his kid on, he's got his gumbo in there. Are they down there? Yeah, they just pulled in. Got the lock or something.
I like their sensitive.
Buses don't work up.
Because I know you.
They're doing what?
Got the lock. Oh, that's right. Forgot about that.
Now somehow he, forgot his key at home in Oxford.
Really, it's yours. I'll give it to you later. I
Okay,
had overhead door in today.
of course you got
Fixing it.
There always seem to be it.
I know.
All right, so we've done the pre-work. So Steve, it's you for a presentation of estimated revenues, expenditures, and all that fun stuff.
Last time.
My last time.
It was like his senior year.
All right, where do you want to start? Revenue?
Sure.
Okay. I'll just tell you guys, my budget's kind of really cut and dry. There's nothing really big in here. But the general property tax, that's based on what we're going to be collecting in 2023 is $1,070,000. Yearly Village of Millville fire contract is $63,220. They just passed their renewal levy. And between Laurie and I in the village, there's really no expiration date on that contract. So it's just a year-to-year thing. I know the village is really happy with the services that we are providing them. The rollback is $83,000. That's based on 2023 figures. The health, vision, dental employee portion is $16,893.09. The one thing we really didn't have in there is sale of fixed assets. We really don't have nothing big. I just left that blank. I don't know what that'll do to us, Julie, if they have a sale. We got some computer mounts and some old laptops that probably ain't worth diddly squat, but we'll need to get rid of those.
The good news is if you sell them, we don't really have to budget for it. It will just go into the carryover unless you need it. And then we can always do an amended certificate.
It'll be simply just cleaning out the closet, so to speak.
Okay.
But the total income from the fire fund is $1,233,113.09. We do have encumbered amount for the 2023 HRE is $24,000. The portion out of the fire fund for that medic unit, which seems to be looming over our heads for the last 3 years, is $155,847. But that brings our total income from the fire levy is $1,052,461.91. As far as the EMS billing, again, we figure $150,000 on that. It's been that way probably for the last 10 years. We'll definitely exceed that this
We've
year.
already exceeded it.
But I've always been taught to keep that revenue low, never try to figure
Where are we
high.
at this year? You know?
I think you're closer to 170 currently.
Okay.
So we're already bringing in more than we budgeted.
So out of that 150,000, again, we got 100,000 encumbered for the life squad, which will bring our total EMS fund revenue to 50,000. Combine that with the fire levy, our total fire department revenue is $1,102,461.90.
Let me ask you a question. The two encumbered amounts, is that two different units or is that?
No, it's the same
between
unit.
the fire and the EMS?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
understood.
And we're locked in, Russ, on that medic unit at 255, some change. And again, when we reevaluated our equipment for insurance purposes, that thing is up to 325. So
Yeah.
we're very lucky that we got it locked in.
Good move.
Okay, you guys want me to go through these line by line item? Or you want me to just give you the highlights of it?
Anything in red is a fixed number coming from the personnel, just so you know, Russ.
I read through them and I didn't have any questions on any of it. I have notes.
One of the things that we did, I don't know if it's on this line item, we were paying like $11,000 for our oxygen supply and rental. And just, it was too high. So Chris put his head together, got with the company, and we've decreased we lease our O2 tanks. It saves us money and we don't have to get things hydro, we ain't got to worry about them. But we reduced that actually from 11,500 down to 6,500. The other thing that you'll see in there is EMS turnout gear, cleaning supplies. I've got that budgeted at 15,000. Again, this fund is split with 2281, which I'll go over in a minute. With the turnout gear, I think this year, in 2024, we might be able to apply for a BWC grant. So that's a possibility.
Didn't we use some of our CARES Act money on turnout gear?
We did 2 years ago. Yeah.
And you usually spend about $5,000 a year. Here, will you ask for more if you're gonna have a grant?
No.
Yeah.
And the problem with turnout gear, guys, is 10 years ago, we got a FEMA grant to buy like 30 sets, and that's awesome. But the problem with that crap, it's got a 10-year life expectancy. So the problem with getting 30 sets at one time, all those 30 sets come of age. So what we would do is we try to get at least 5 sets a year and try to rotate these things. Cost for expenses doesn't have a line item. Again, this one's been hanging on for a couple of years. And this figure is high, but it's striping and lettering for the new medic unit when it comes in. I've got 5,000 for resealing the parking lot at Station 101. That was actually on this year's budget, but we ran into some situations where I had to buy a new refrigerator. I think I had to buy a new washing machine. So that kind of depleted that. And honestly, I checked with Paul. He did some seal coating and some crack seal down at 101. So it's in fairly good shape, but I'd like to see that put on there.
So those two items, since they were approved last year, since they're over the $2,500, they go on the sheet that you get to individually vote. Since they were approved for last year's budget, do they need to be approved?
I would put them on that they were previously approved and that there really is no need to, but I would carry them over.
Okay.
Makes sense?
Yes.
But they won't really need to vote on it.
Okay.
And that it becomes very clear that they're approved.
Okay.
As far as expenditures in the EMS Fund 2281, nothing really stands out. Cost for contracted services at 36.5. The big chunk of that goes to Medi-Cal management. So whatever rest we collect on an EMS bill, Medi-Cal charges us 8%. It used to be 10 and they've narrowed it down. The scheduling software that we use, that's a contracted service. Active 911 is the app that we get on our phone that notifies us of our calls. So that takes a big chunk out of that. You'll see EMS supplies, again, turnout gear. This is a fund that's split at 40,000. Again, our supplies, the biggest chunk of that comes from EMS supplies. And Chris has done a pretty damn good job of getting what we need, and he shops around for the best prices.
What is turnout here? What does that term mean?
Or fire gear we wear on construction fires.
Okay.
Turnout gear would be the complete ensemble. Russ would be the boots, the pants, the coats, the hoods, the helmet, the gloves.
Protective.
Absolutely. Fuel, I've increased that, I think, by a couple thousand from last year, depending on what the fuel stuff does. So those expenses in the EMS fund total $120,800. So the total fire expenses, if you total up the EMS fund, the fire levy, our total expenses this year is $1,701,924. Which, if you go to this next page,
Take a deep breath.
take a deep breath.
There's big explanations.
So we have, we're in the hole 599,000. But take the 255 away from that. And if you look at the personnel, I've got 2 open spots for full-time firefighters. I had to include that into the budget in case we have a need for the right person comes along.
Full-time 1 and full-time 2?
Yes, sir. So that took out a really big chunk. If you take away the squad and if you take away those potential 2 full-time firemen, I think it comes out to something like $60,000 that we're in the red, which is expected towards the end of our levy.
And we do have one of the 2 fire levies is up for renewal next year. So that you would expect to see his carryover, the fire department's carryover dwindling down because that's how it goes.
Yeah. And I got something interesting just to show you when we get done here, but you want me to go into personnel now or you want to wait till that for executive session?
That's executive session.
Okay. If you look at capital in 2024, I think Lori has cleaned this up a little bit. It used to be confusing as crap. 2024, again, is the squad. In 2025, we were actually going to put this on the budget this year. But with that 599 in the red, I think we got better pull back the rank. But we need to replace that 2000 Ford Excursion. That thing is definitely on its last leg. So I have that for 2025. And depending on who's sitting in my seat next year, it might be a good idea to try to get that thing ordered sometime in 2024.
Go figure.
The way these damn automotive manufacturers are going.
I'm doing that.
And I'm saying that in jest.
I know.
You know, shit, it's taken, close to a year just to get a stupid pickup truck. You know, you could buy probably a 150 off a lot, but I don't think a 150 would serve us well, but that might be something to take in consideration sometime during the next year. I've also included the 800 radios at 248,000. Talking with Lori and Julie, there's a potential state capital grant we could probably try to tap into. Again, I'm confident those radios are going to work just as long as we can keep batteries. And I actually got an email today from Magnum Electronics, and they have some in stock, the Empress batteries that go with their radios, or they have a different type that's still available. So that might be something we might look into towards the end of the year.
Especially if your supply budget is, if there's a healthy balance left in there.
And then 2026, again, this thing has been on here forever. It's replacement of a 1993 tanker. And that is really a low priority thing. That tanker 102 that sits up at Station 102 is a 1993. Chris kind of uses that as a benchmark because that's the year he joined. But that truck drives like a 1993. But with it sitting in our firehouse with 1,800 gallons of water, we get credit through our ISO who comes and audits our department. So we get credit for a water supply for that thing sitting in there. So it's not really high priority.
How often does it get called out, deployed, whatever you call it?
It went out the other night. But maybe during the year. Yeah.
The water sitting in it deteriorate in the tank or the line or anything?
No, I mean, it gets flushed, but if it sits there a while, you can definitely tell.
That's why you guys out. I don't know who all was there, but I came down that night for something at UGM. They were all out there cleaning everything down the line too.
Yeah.
It was all out there.
And Julie, she printed this out, and thank you for doing that, but our expected carryover will be $776,974.26, which I'm pretty damn proud of. And I'll tell you why. Today I get messing around. I've done these things, but I did a budget analysis in 2014. And it's a 5-year and 10-year. And the one we did in 2014, we were trying to figure out what we needed when we put our additional levy on. And we agreed on a 2.75 mil levy. And based on my projections, in the year 2024, we were going to be $33,331 in the red. So take that, and we've in the plus for 776,000. I'm pretty impressed with that. In 2018, I did another one. This was based on the new levies that we had. In 2024, I had a projection of $347,000 in the good. So we're doing good. I'm very proud of that because I think every year that we've done this, I pretty much have come under budget. And the last one I did was in 2019, and I had a projected carryover of $404,000. So I think this really pays off. And the one thing that we're going to work on, somebody else is going to work on, is doing this exact same thing starting for 2024 and do a 5-year and a 10-year budget analysis. And that'll give you guys a good idea what the department needs in the next 5-10 years and what our projected income is and what our projected expenses are going to be. And that might help you decide what we're going to do with these levies coming up in 2024.
Which levy is it in this year?
The 3 mil levy
In 2024.
is up. And Keith, if you remember 5 years ago, that was actually in our strategic plan, and 5 years ago to actually replace that levy 5 years ago. And we were doing good financially, so we made the decision just to renew it. But that 3 mil is up for either renewal or replacement next year.
Okay.
There's going to be a lot of variables depending on what the state does with these property tax values. You know, with the new values, and if we go to replace this thing, in her talk, it might be more than what we need. So it could be a possibility to even reduce the thing. But I think that's where this will come in and really handy to see where we're going to be in 5 and 10.
We might be in a position to talk about combining the two. The one that the 2.75, or renewing the one next year at a different rate and then rescinding that one. You know, I mean, we might have some, and who knows, we might, hopefully, you know, maybe we won't need as much millage as we.
Yeah.
But that all remains to be seen.
When will we know that?
Once we get the
March,
values
April.
from the auditor. I'm thinking that I'll have the values in January, and then I could start doing some scenarios for everything. Just for Russ's sake, if you look back to 2019, their carryover was only 603,000. That was also the year they had, they bought the 2 engines, and they, correct? They replaced the one that got injured, and then the second one.
Yeah, and just to piggy tail on that, you know, back when we did this additional levy, the board that sat on the board, you know, the one thing that they harped on, they said anything capital will come out of the general fund. That includes life squads and fire engines, and of course, stuff happened. But we were able to take the carryover that we had in our fire fund and pay $635,000, something that we weren't planning on, and we ended up paying cash for that. So we financially, I think the fire department has done a pretty damn good job over the years.
Julie, you were explaining something to me. At the end of the levy, the ending balance, you would expect it to start
Right.
to come down.
Right,
At the end of the last levy, we were at 603. Is that what I'm
Yeah,
surmising? And now we're at 776.
right.
Okay, so that's a good thing. Good job.
Right.
Oh, absolutely,
Thank you.
absolutely.
And keep in mind that at one point a year ago, you had four additional full-time firefighters.
Yeah.
And now you have three, well, you only have one of those.
$173,000-ish
Mhm.
increase at the end of the levy.
Right, so you would expect to see that carryover dwindle and dwindle and dwindle. And then, you know, in the last year, your levy, you would expect to see. So,
I called Julie yesterday.
yeah, who's having a little bit of a heart attack.
I'll show you. I had one word here. I saw 599. I said, what?
And I honestly, I said the same thing. And when we first did this, it was gonna be, if you took away the squad and those potential employees, it was a lot less than that. It was only like 10 grand. But we got to looking at our expenditures, and for some reason, in our line item for, was it, shit, I'll tell you in a second. Was it BWC? Something to do with social security? It
Oh,
had zeros on it.
yeah,
And it's like, well, this ain't right. It was pension costs and non-pension costs. I think they were zero.
yeah,
It's like
and that's not right. So we had to redo the formulas and, well, the formulas, made things look good. It made the bottom line look bad.
I said the same thing. So that's why I wanted to clarify that.
Appreciate you clarifying it, and it was help for understanding how this works its way down as the levy
Yeah.
gets.
Okay, so I got one over here. Do it all, correct?
I
Okay.
believe so.
Anything further for the fire chief or assistant chief? Okay, we're ready to move on. To executive session. Move for the adoption of motion 23-161 to retire to executive session to discuss the employment, promotion, or compensation of a public employee in accordance with Ohio Revised Code, section 121.22G1. And the time is,
6:09.
I need a second.
Second?
Any discussion? Roll call.
Trustee McGurran.
Yes.
Trustee Blower.
Yes.
Kicking me out again.
Yes, Mr. Young,
We won't have any-
when we were